ever since I was young, wanted to run my own company, wanted to be in control of my life, and wanted control of my time, and wanted to make a difference in the world. And growing up, didn't know what that business was going to be, but once I moved back here after I dropped out of college, started working and trying to think of ideas that could be that first business. And I remember all my college teammates, facilities they had growing up that they could train at, and thought that the Dubuque area could use something like this. So kind of dove into that, knowing that there was a demand here for athletes and fitness, and nothing in the private sector. So started game planning, and here we are today.
All right. My next question is, what kind of education did you need to start your business?
I had to get certified just to start training people, but education was all just self-education. I dove into books, found books of successful trainers that have been there, done that, so started reading a ton of books, started listening to podcasts of trainers and business owners that have been in this industry, that have made multi-million dollars from this industry. So the highly successful people that have actually done it and are giving out information and books and podcasts. And then as I just dove all in right away, started doing it, trial and error, figured out what worked, what didn't, adjusted my strategy, and still am learning every day today. Still listen to podcasts every day. I'm in the car and at home cooking food, I'm listening to podcasts, and reading books at least once a month, whether it's business books or training books, listening to coaches or hearing from other entrepreneurs, taking all the bits and pieces of information that they provide and kind of finding my own style with it.
If you could give any advice about education to take for a young kid trying to get into what you do,
in like the training space.
The training space.
Well, being an athlete, like training athletes, being a former athlete's always huge. Just that experience with the team, experience with different coaches. So training athletes, that's a big part. But then also just, like I said, like the certification, just the legal side of things. You do learn bits and pieces of information with that. But a big part of one-on-one training is being able to communicate with your client and being able to get your point across in a way that they're going to understand. All these high-level certifications, they have, yes, like all the fancy terms, like you need to know all that as a trainer, but most importantly, how can you relay that scientific information and the educational information that you learn and relay it back to a kid, or relay it back to an adult that just wants to get healthy. They're not going to understand all these fancy lingo and technical terms, but if you can, I guess, quote, dumb it down for them and try and find ways that they learn as an individual, so that people-to-people skills is huge, and you can only learn that through experience, getting your feet wet, diving in, all in with it, learning each and every day. After each session, I still think, okay, how could I have made that better? What did I do right? How can I make the next session even better than it was yesterday? And then last part, actually finding a mentor and shadowing under people, an internship, whatever the case may be, but actually listening to people that, like I said, have been there, done that, have found great success in that industry, and learn from them. Like myself and all the other coaches, entrepreneurs, like so willing to give information out. They love talking about it. I love talking about it. So just finding people that have been there, gather as much information as possible through there, and then just never stop growing.
With all the education you've learned, what problem are you solving for like athletes and just people every day?
I think just giving that people that little extra edge that they might not be getting elsewhere. A lot of athletes work out at school. For the most part, it's impossible for a school to individualize each program for everyone. So we take athletes that, yes, they work out at school, but how can we find pieces that they might be missing out of that program, or complement a training program that complements what they're doing outside here? Or we might get an athlete that isn't working out at school and all in with us, then we find a way that helps them the best. So I think just trying to individualize the program and training for everyone, and most importantly, trying to improve the everyday life of that person. We want them to be successful in athletics, but most importantly, those athletic days are going to be over someday. How are they going to go about their life? We want them to stay healthy. We want them to know how to eat right. We want them to know how to set goals, stay disciplined to those goals. So then once their athletic days are over, they know how to succeed in life and live a long, happy life once their sport days are over.
All right. Now I'm gonna ask you some questions about like your actual business. Like, what's the kind of customer for your kind of business do you look for, like, in people?
Anyone that's willing to commit to themselves, commit to the process, and then commit to their trainer that they're assigned with or who they schedule out with. As long as, like I said, like you're able to commit to yourself, hey, this is what I want to do, these are the goals I have. Our trainers, myself, we're gonna hold you accountable in those goals, and we're gonna do our part and do everything we possibly can to set you up for success and set you up in a position to achieve those goals. But none of that works if the person's not ready to commit to themselves. They can be motivated all they want. Like, yes, motivation is the start. That's the first step to step into the facility or contact us. But then the next step is the discipline part, and staying disciplined to your goals, the process, the plan that we have in place. We are adjusting that plan based on life, whatever. But as long as you're committed to yourself and trusting the process along the way, starting to love the process and kind of engraving it into your own personal lifestyle, that's when real progress is going to be made. And that's the only way that you're actually going to achieve your goals. Committing to yourself, committing to the process, and then committing to the trainer. If you're ready to do that, we're open arms and we'll take anyone, and we'll find a way to help you on the path to success.
What's the earliest age you start training? So you start people training?
Like clients?
Yeah, clients.
We've had second graders come in. We just try and make it fun for those young kids, improve stability, body control, things of that sort. Just getting them moving again. But I guess not again, but just getting them moving to start their life. So as they get older, it's just part of their life. But I mean, yeah, we've had second grade. Our group we start at third through sixth grade is considered our youth group, and then everything above that. But yeah, like I said, we've had some young kids in here, which is pretty cool.
What makes your business so much better than, say, like another business doing the same thing as you?
I guess I wouldn't really know if we're better or not. I like to think we're top tier just because I know our standard that we've set here. I can't speak on other facilities, what they're doing in their culture. I can only, I guess, speak on what we're doing, and I know we've set the standard high for what our team is, we expect out of our team, and what we expect out of our training sessions. So I know our process, our training methods, and our team that we've hired and built, I know each client's getting that results. They're getting that attention that they need to truly, like I said, not just succeed in sports, but succeed in life after their sport days are over. Like I said, whether it's them just improving their eating habits, that's huge. That's going to go the rest of their life with good eating, so they're healthier. Overall, hopefully then they're a better human being is our goal, that when they step foot in here and then they step out, they're a better person and they know how to take care of themselves and stay disciplined and set goals in life. But athletic wise, I guess, like I said, like our results, that's our number one priority, getting results, and we can't do that if we don't have a high standard that we've set here. And like I said, I think we have the best team in the Tri-States area, Everyone's on the same mission to help improve athletes and individuals in any way that they can, and we're striving to be the best in the country, and then eventually best in the world at what we do.
What kind of trainers do you hire, and like people you hire look forward to hiring?
First one is, can I talk to that person? Like I said, like I've had interviews, people have all the degrees, all the certifications, but they couldn't hold a conversation with me during that interview, or they were so by the book that it felt robotic when they were answering questions. So like right there's a first sign, like, okay, they can't hold a conversation with me. How are they gonna hold a conversation with a third grader or a sixth grader or an 80-year-old that just wants to stay moving? So that's like the first part I look for, is whether or not I can just talk with them and they can communicate well. And then I like, if they want to train athletes, I like the experience of them being an athlete themselves, just that hands-on experience. And then lastly, if they're willing to grow, they want to grow. If they might not know anything, but they're willing to learn, they want to learn, and they want to grow with us and help change lives, then it's a done deal. If they can check mark those 3 boxes, that's what we look for, and I'm confident in our team to develop them along the way, and they'll start growing with us.
What were some major setbacks you had starting your business, or just still setbacks you face to this day?
Yeah, that's a good question. Setbacks. I mean, I don't know I guess I never considered them setbacks. I look more so, and always have since I started this, as learning experiences. Like there's been a lot of learning experiences along the way. Me trying different pricing, different ways of marketing, different ways of communication, and some of them just flat out didn't work, and afterwards like, damn, that I sucked right there, or that sucked, let's scratch that. And started diving in and finding new ways to do things. I mean, like when I first started this, it was, like I said, out of my garage. Just found as much money as I could to buy some cheap Facebook marketplace equipment, and just hit the ground running with it. So like there was a setback, I guess, or in a time frame where I was flat broke, paid for everything through a credit card, just piling up debt. But again, I don't look at that as a setback. It was more so I was willing to do whatever I had to do to make this work. And I was so confident in myself and knew that I was gonna work endless hours. I wasn't gonna stop until I was gonna make this happen. And there was gonna be no setback that was gonna stop me. But I knew along the way there might be some failures. Things are not gonna work out. They still don't. To this day, like there's things like I scratch and like, okay, that didn't work. Let's find new ways to do that. So more so looking at them not so much as setbacks, but as learning experiences. Because like I said, if I'm always looking to grow, I'm still learning to this day, growing as this day. Cause if you don't stop growing, if you stop growing, you start dying. And if you look at setbacks as setbacks, then you kind of start focusing them on that term setbacks, which is like a negative term. So if you instead start thinking about them as, okay, these are learning experiences, now you're growing.
Instead of some negatives about your business, what are some positives you had right away?
Everything's been a positive, to be honest. That's just because I'm doing what I want to do. And right away, like I said, I had no money. I was going door to door, knocking on people's doors, trying to get them to train with me. I was driving 5 a.m. to Dyersville to train one person when I lived an hour away, 45 minutes away. I was willing to do whatever it took, and I loved it. Like, I loved every second of it. I still love it to this day. I wake up 4:30 in the morning, ready to roll, working as much as I can, and it's not even work, it's just doing something that I love to do. So ever since day one, me quitting my job and starting this up, me having control of what I wanted my future to look like, me having control of my time, my energy, that that is success to me, and I've been happy since day one. So I think everything about it has been a positive.
All right, I'm gonna ask you some personal questions. What was the biggest risk you've taken as like, as your entrepreneurship career? Like, what is the biggest risk you've taken?
Still taking a risk. Take risk every day, I guess, like putting all the money back into it, reinvesting into it, always growing. But the biggest risk from the start was just quitting that job that I had, gave them 2 weeks notice, never had experience managing in a managing role, never had experience working in a gym, never had experience training anyone. I didn't have any experience. I dropped out of college, no degree. I got, at the time, a very, pardon my language, bullshit certification when I first got started because I couldn't afford anything else. So I got a very cheap certification, and yeah, just went all in, put every dollar I had into it. And like I said, I just piled up the debt. Even when we first opened our first facility, when I moved out of the garage, that was a major risk. That was 6 months after I started in my garage. Very little to no clientele, and got in contact with someone that was opening a baseball facility in the mall, and they heard about me, that I was doing this out of my garage, and I kind of faked it at first, like when I met them, and like, I'll have a full clientele. When I moved in here, knew I couldn't afford the rent, but I was confident in myself that, okay, if I get this facility, I'm gonna make it happen. And I don't know if another opportunity like this is gonna come in the near future, so I have to seize this opportunity. And like I said, I couldn't afford it. The mall rent, super expensive, all the equipment, super expensive, so I took out loans, paid with even more credit cards, piled up my debt to over $50,000 of loans and credit cards with no money really coming in. So that was a major risk, but like I said, it's still a risk to this day where we're trying to make big moves. We're reinvesting, opening up bigger facilities in Dubuque, expanding in Dyersville, getting new equipment, expanding our team, putting money into online training. We're still risking, but it's all in the end for growth, and it's been like that since day one.
How do you manage your life and work balance as an entrepreneur?
I don't know. Never really thought about that, I guess. Just kind of being present in the moment. So like if I'm working, I'm working. If I'm at my home office, I'm working on the computer. That's what I'm zoned in on. If I'm at the facility training someone, that person is what I'm completely focused on for that hour or half an hour. If I'm in a team meeting, that hour, the team meeting, that's what I'm focused on. When my girl, or now fiance, gets home, she's who I focus on. After she's home from work later at night, I'm focused on my relationship with her. If I'm with my family, whatever that moment is, I'm focused on my family. So it's more so when those times come, a schedule with the family or whatever the case may be comes up in the schedule, that moment is what I'm focused on, and just being present.
All right, I asked you this a little bit. You explained this a little bit earlier, but not much. Why did you pick this location for this business?
Well, grew up in this area. I enjoy this. I enjoy this area. Enjoy the community. I think, like I said, kind of like when I first thought of this idea, I knew if we had something like this when I was growing up, something in the private sector, nice facility, I would want to go train there as an athlete. And Dubuque County, Dyersville area, Dubuque area has a ton of athletes, ton of families willing to invest into their kids. So I thought the demand would be there, and if you did it right, which I was confident that we were going to do it right, the right way, that we could truly make an impact on this community, the people's lives here, the youth, individuals that are looking to be better than they were yesterday. I believe that we were able to, or are able to, change lives, and just want to kind of do that for this community.
What was your vision, 5-year vision, before you even started your business, like with everything that you wanted to do?
When I first got started, I was thinking 5 years from when I opened in my garage. I was hoping that 5 years from that point, I could open up our first facility. That opportunity came up 5 months after opening up in the garage. Seized that opportunity, and then after we opened our first facility, then there was 5 years. Okay, let's open another facility in 5 years. That happened a year later. Like, now our overall vision, we do want to be the best in the world at private athlete and fitness training. We're going to be online. We have people all around the world buying our programs right now. People in Australia, India, France, they're buying our online programs. They're seeing us through our social media platforms at what we're doing. So now that's our ultimate vision. Our next 5-year vision is just a larger complex in Dubuque, and keep opening up facilities and expanding into our online sector.
What do you like about being an entrepreneur?
What's not to like? I mean, doing what I want to do. I love what I do, and get to waking up, like I said, at 4:30 in the morning. To 90% of people would be like, why the hell would I do that? But to me, I can't wait to get up out of bed and hit the ground running, dive back into what I love to do every day. And I think us as human beings, we're here to try and make a positive impact in the world. I think we were born to try and make a positive impact before our last day here is on Earth. So I like to be in that position, that try and make an impact, try and spread positivity, try and help other people grow and be the best version of themselves. So that's why I started this training company, and that's the business. This isn't gonna be the first business that I own, run, whatever. More are gonna come. I got millions of ideas in the future, but ultimately just wanna try and make a positive impact in the world. And like I said, I love being in control of my life, my time, my energy, where I put my energy. It makes me happy.
What made you come up with the name Bar Raising Fitness?
Actually, one of my old buddies thought of it. When I was starting out, talked to him, I'm like trying to think of a name. And he threw out a couple names, and I liked Bar Raising Fitness, and looked online. Nobody else was named Bar Raising Fitness, so ran with it.
All right. Who had one of the biggest impacts on your life?
There's there's a couple different people, I guess. For one, my dad's work ethic. My dad never stops working, like shows that he works for his family. So I learned a lot from him. My mom just being empathetic of people and being able to talk to people and wanting to spread positivity. I learned from my one grandparents to enjoy the little things in life. And then my other grandparents, learned a lot about finances through them. I would say those people have the most impact on my life, that I strive to take pieces of them and who they are and what they've taught me. And like I said, kind of mold it into my own self.
Question for you: what do you think makes a great leader?
I think being able to adapt to different people, but keep them all toward the same mission. So, like, know that each individual has a different way of thinking or different way of learning, and finding that and being able to identify that, and then be able to communicate in that manner for that specific person, but ultimately keep them in the same mission and vision as the team. So our team, we have all one mission, and that's to be the best in the world and help athletes and individuals maximize their potential. So that's our ultimate mission, but each team member has a different way of learning how to improve their training abilities, how to communicate to their clients. So being able to find those different ways for each individual, but keep them on track and keep them growing for that same mission.
All right, that's all I got.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.